Guys, welcome back to Let's Play Final Fantasy VI. Last time we encountered a new character, Ga, and we basically went over pretty much everything there is to how this character works. And in between episodes, I managed to pick up Stray Cat in about 10 minutes while I was sitting through commercials on a show I was watching, so I'll take it. I'm not going to show off what it does because basically it doesn't attack called Cat Strash. It does 4 times damage of what your normal attack damage would be. It's not particularly interesting to look at, but it is very useful going forward. This one is on my list of required ones, more so for me than it would be for you, just because it's really, really useful to show off a couple of things later on. But you don't have to do it now if you don't want to. The super important ones are Rhodox, as well as, where are you, my friend, Marshall. Marshall is going to be the vast majority of my rages for him for quite some time. Speaking of which, it won't be my go-to, necessarily, upcoming in here. This is the cave that we were shown earlier in a cutscene. And this is Crescent Mountain. I don't know why it's called Crescent Mountain, but it is. There's a shiny thing here. We're going to find the shinies. Sir Ga. I don't think he's earned that. I don't think he's a knight. But I believe that's based off of kind of like an old-fashioned samurai... what is it? Dono. It's an old-fashioned samurai suffix onto a name like San or Sama or Chan or Kun would be. If you watch a lot of anime, you've probably heard many of these terms before. It's just a very old-fashioned kind of suffix to go on the end of a name. So that's basically what they're translating there. Ga remembered that he had a shiny thing to show us and forgot where it was. I love those animations. They're just like, I'm done with this. It seems we have no choice. We're going to go over here. And there are, I believe, 2 additional cutscenes on top of skipping them and going straight to where the item actually is. A tonic? Do we get that tonic? I don't know. It doesn't matter. One of the interesting things about the sound effects for this game is if you are listening with headphones, I'll shut up for a second. If you notice, the audio seems to be like fading from left to right over and over again. And it's a really, really disorienting feeling with headphones, but on, speakers, it seems much more normal and not so disconcerting. But anyway. Why are you moving so slowly? My pouch! 500! You actually lose that money, too. The Munchkin's at it again. He's making my life difficult here. And this is why we don't want kids, or at least why I don't want kids. Because all they do is make my life difficult. Even without kids of my own, I know this from my nephews and my niece. They all do their best to make my life difficult. I love them all the same, but they do everything possible to make my life difficult. And we've got a treasure. Looks like glass. Just might fit. It's a dirty glass bowl. Looks like it would fit over your head. So yeah, this is the underwater breathing device that they were talking about in town that was there and was stolen. Presumably this was Ga, and then they never really acknowledge it again. But, okay. Apparently this lets us breathe underwater. I'm not sure if the little thing on the top is just like a hose that floats above, or how this is supposed to work. But it's a Final Fantasy game. It doesn't need, strictest logic in the world. The series has never had that. Now, one thing you will probably want to do before jumping in here is make sure to save beforehand. Because once we jump in here, we can't do any more grinding on the veldt. You can't do anything else until you get to your next destination. Are you afraid of heights? Well, there we go. This is the Serpent Trench. Now, we've got a few different enemies around here. Let's see. This one is dead. The Anguiform. Anguiform is weak to lightning elemental. All the enemies around here, considering they're underwater, it's pretty logical. They all absorb water. And different enemies. Now here you have a choice. You can choose right to get treasure or left to get more battles. Perfect. This is what we want. We want the battle against more than one of them. Now the... let me pick another target here. Oh, well, I'm not going to let me see it. So one of these guys is weak to something. Let's just kill it here. You can use Marshall here to annihilate them, but like I said, the Anguiform is weak to lightning, the Aspic is weak to fire, and the other one is weak to both. I can't pronounce strange words. So if you want to just completely skip out of all, they all absorb water. You can skip out and just use Marshall and nuke them all if you really want to, but that's entirely up to you. Now, the interesting thing here is the Anguiform is dangerous if you leave it alone. They can use Aqua Rake. And the Aspic can use Gigavolt if left alone. And the Aqua Rake can do up to like 200 damage to all your party members. The Gigavolt can do up to 350, at least according to this walkthrough that I happened to find some information out about while I was... prepping for this episode. So there's an X potion, and that's all there is. Both paths lead to the same place. You'll get the same secondary decision here. Again, it goes right by default, which again leads to one item. The left path leads to more treasure. The amount of enemies that you're going to run into, you're weak to bolt, so our best bet, I think, is Hazer? Yes. There we go. So there's Bolt 2. Absolutely nukes the hell out of him. That's great. Now, it would be preferable to run into a battle, like a different battle formation with all of them again, a slightly different one. There's one that has 2 of the one enemy and 1 of each of the other 2. I'd like to get that formation as well because one of these guys, specifically Aspect, is actually really valuable. You can't go in the water there until you do this. Is actually valuable for its Gigavolt ability, which it can teach. Here we get another green beret. By the way, I did pick up a couple more of those as I was battling around on the veldt trying to get all the rages for Ga. Where are my green berets? Right here. I have 2 left and I have 3 equipped. So that is including the one we just got. But anyway, down here, there's no battles in here. There we go. Yeah, this is kind of the mode 7 here, kind of like with the Chocobo stuff. It's a relatively interesting kind of art style, graphical style that they use to simulate 3D way back on the Super Nintendo. All right, now these guys will allow you to go to South Figaro. But we still need to shop, because, well, we're in a new town. This town is pretty damn cool. Old Man. odd man. Lives near the Leet River. His wife bore him a son 13 years ago. His problem birth, the woman passed away. The man totally lost it. Thought the newborn baby was a monster. Wonder what happened to the poor little baby. Now, I won't go into too much detail here, but we did talk to an old man that said something, talked to us like he was kind of a little bit crazy, talking about 25 foot or 50 foot high, grass in the back that needed to be cut and fix his clock or his stove or whatever. Well, one of the things he said was something about, an unruly little child and throwing him out on the veldt. Interesting, that. There used to be ships sailing to the southern continent, Zen, Albrook, and Miranda. They've all been smashed. And if you look over at some of the other translations, they're all in ruins thanks to the Empire, been lost to the Empire. Yeah. Now we've heard about Miranda, but not the other two. This is one of my favorite scenes. How about joining me? Why don't you have a drink with me? And yes, they, in addition to censoring out all references of the pub, all references to drinking of alcohol has also been removed here. Now, if you look over here, like at the fan translation and even the Google translation, do you want to go with me? Care to have some fun with me? It's a dancer. I think you can kind of get the picture of what's going on here. Oh. Licentious Howler. Well, I'll give you props, Cyan. That's some kind of language you got going on there. Now, you'll notice I never went over this before, but the reference to his name, I've forgotten what it is off the top of my head now, but Cyan is how they've translated his name, but the original Japanese is closer to the spice, cayenne, than it is to the cyan, the color. But as far as I'm aware, pretty much everyone just refers to him as the cyan character now. Or the color, not the spice. Don't blow an artery, baby. So basically, she's trying to get some work. We'll say she's not just a dancer. I think you can all gather what's going on. If you look at the Game Boy Advance translation, hey, do you like these? Call this one Humpty. And this one Dumpty. I don't think she's talking about her feet. Just a thought, though. Yeah, so, yeah, obviously Cyan has recently lost everything. He's not the type of person that seems to be into this type of scene to begin with. And she's being pretty forceful. In the fan translation, they went with boyfriend instead of baby as the translation. I'm pretty sure Humpty and Dumpty was something they put in after the fact. I don't think that was part of the original Japanese script. Don't let it get to you. Or you're too easy. I'm not like that. Unaffected by these charms. Yeah, some of the way they've translated this scene for the censorship just changes so much and turns it into a much more comedic scene than it originally was going to be. And that's one of the advantages I find to a translation, that even though it's not necessarily the most accurate, it has a lot more character and adds a lot more to it. The original game of Chrono Trigger without a Woolsey translation, and he translated that game too, would have been a much darker story. But because of the little bits of censorship and the added personality of the translation, it's a much more lighthearted game than you would otherwise get with the story that was being told. Here, it's a very similar situation. One of the benefits of all my years of aesthetic training. You mean all your working out there, buff man? I like how and here's the other thing is I like how the character of the Game Boy Advance and even the fan translations here are adding things. I believe these were actually pulled from the Japanese script more so than anything else, but they kind of bring out more of Sabin's character, I think, here than the simple line that we got in the SNES version. So like there's benefits and downsides to each of the translations, which is why I like having this Wonder Bar here, so I can go over kind of both of them and kind of talk about each of them in turn. My ears are burning. Have you no shame? I'll have you know, blah, 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 blah. Proper woman should have modesty and decency. Well, we're gonna let her do whatever she wants as long as she leaves poor Cyan alone. But yeah, it's a funny little scene. All right, what do we got? Imported goods. No one can reach an IKEA unless they have a ship. One look at me and thought I was a loser, right? Now you're obligated to buy from me. Well, goggles, no. Star pendant, no. White cape is decent, but nah. Fairy ring, poison and dark. Well, that's 100% useless, so no. Imp and mute. I've already got one of these. I don't really need an extra one, so I think we'll skip on that. Here we have an armor shop containing stuff that we had access to before, and silk robes. So I'm going to pick up 2 of these, which are on my shopping list here. And everything else, I think we already have better stuff. Looks like junk, but you're in the way. I'm always in the way. I was born in the way. Just like most of us, actually, but anyway, here's weapons. We don't need those because even though we have, a physical attack power character like Sabin and Cyan, hell, even Edgar to an extent, we don't need weapons in this game. So yeah, we'll skip that. You can buy stuff if you need stuff. Smoke bomb, let's party escape from battle if you want that, sure. I don't care for it myself, but it's there. I don't need anything else. Let's go take a look at some of the buildings around here. Where is it? Here it is. The lone elixir and lone item in this town. Here you can stay for 150G. You don't need to do that, but a rock slide has blocked the path leading north. Now, this is actually true. If you look around here, there's not really a whole lot else we can do here. I don't think there's anything up there. Can I just go out this way? Can. Perfect. This leads us on to the map. Now, you'll see up here that there is a bridge and some more dudes that we've already fought before. Let's just have enemies fall down for us. All right, good enough. But yeah, you can see there's a bridge here and that it's blocked by what looks like mountains. Well, according to them, it's a landslide. So we'll have to take a look at that a little bit later on and see if it's changed. But yeah, for now, I believe that's it for the buildings around here. Yeah, there's a chocobo thing here if you want that. That'll be important later. But yeah, we've been to pretty much all the... Move, please. We've been to all the buildings. yeah, there's nothing else really here. So, let's talk to you and hop aboard. Narshe is just a stone's throw away. Hope the others have arrived safely. Well, I've already helped most of them to get back there, so they should be fine. God doesn't even know any of these people yet. The three have reached Narshe, and a decisive battle is about to take place. Now, if you're doing these battles or the paths out of order, before jumping on the ship is the time where you want to remove everyone's equipment to free it up for the other paths. But since we're all going to meet back up here in Narshe in a moment anyway, it's no longer necessary for me. How can we be encouraging bloodshed? What a weird translation. If you look over the Game Boy Advance, you can see what they were going for. Basically, the idea here is we're trying to, or, our group here is trying to ask the Elder of Narshe to basically join the Returners. So basically, his point is what we ask is putting their people in danger by siding with the Resistance. So it makes sense even if it's worded poorly. Emperor Gestel's racing to acquire Magitech power. Set his sights on the Esper that was found here. Increased use of Magitech power will surely lead to global destruction. Now, normally you would see something like that. Oh, they're going for this power, which is going to lead to destruction. Well, that's slippery slope argument for sure. But in this case, they're drawing from the past, in this case, 1,000-year-old past, but the past that everyone seems familiar with nonetheless. Mythical battle that sent mankind back 1,000 years. Now, the idea here is that technology was once more advanced and magic was part of it. So I guess we're thinking, beyond steampunk, maybe kind of more modern in terms of technology. And then the war happened, everything was lost, kind of like what happened in Final Fantasy X, actually, now that I think about it. The whole process of this war happens and Sin appears, and then all of a sudden you go to the next part of the game and, well, technology has really dropped off in the last 1,000 years now, hasn't it? I think that's the idea they're going for. People aren't smart creatures, though. That's the problem. Hey, look, reinforcements. And we've got more party members that the others didn't know about. Retainer to the Lord of Doma. And Ga is in his Pokemon phase of his dialogue development. He just says his own name. That's fine. They were indeed. Poisoned. Kefka is an evil barbarian. Now, here's the question. Was Doma collaborating with the Returners? They say it here, but there's no kind of point in the plot that shows that that was the case. It's just being said. So is that the truth? Or is that a rumor spread by the Empire to dissuade others from siding with the Resistance? It's hard to know. The Empire is poised to attack Narshe already. If you remember back a few days ago when we were on Locke's path, yeah, we learned that by talking to all the people around there. Celeste was one of the Empire's generals. Torched Miranda, huh? Apparently she's rather infamous, even though we hadn't heard all that much about her beforehand. I promised I'd protect her, and I won't give up a woman I've sworn to protect. Locke's dialogue in both the Game Boy Advance and the SNES version of the game have a lot of importance. The terminology used for him is rather important, especially as it pertains to how others see him. And I'll get into that in more detail once it's more apparent. Are you still thinking about that? You haven't gotten over that, have you? You're thinking about back then. Well, unfortunately to Cyan, he's surrounded by the Empire in this resistance group against the Empire. The Empire is evil, but not all of its citizens are. This is a very important line, and is often missed in any type of kind of conflict between two sides. You so often get the rhetoric and the propaganda of your own side saying that the other side is evil, when it's not necessarily the people within the other side that are evil, though to an extent that will be true. It's the society or the culture, or in this case the Empire as a whole, where the evil lies. I love how a game that's 27 years old can still provide so much influence and input on society now. It's absolutely fantastic. Now, I believe this line actually gets repeated at some point. This might be the repetition, or it might be later on, but I'm going to have to defer to my brother on this one. Basically, Sabin is not kind of equipped or understanding enough to explain what's going on here, so he's going to let Edgar, who has kind of a more delicate understanding of how things are going on. You know, Sabin's been sitting there, you know, lifting weights and training his whatever martial arts Duncan taught him, and that's pretty much all he's been doing for the last little while. He hasn't really been too focused on anything else. Well, the Empire's coming, so yeah, let's get our defenses going. Get me that Esper. Yeah, Narshe is neutral for now. Dispose of any who oppose us. There's a reason oppose rhymes with dispose. If they get in your way, kill them. Like, the insanity that is Kefka and his bouncing around is just absolutely brilliant. Nuanced villains can be great, especially if, you know, you want the audience to kind of understand them a little bit, but pure insanity and pure evil are great too, because they have no redeeming qualities, and they're usually enjoyable on the basis of they have no redeeming qualities. They're just that evil, and they don't care that they're that evil. They're content to be that evil. Let's make ready for war. We're after the Esper. We moved it into the hills. You moved it. Not sure how you did that, but okay. If you say so. Well, we're gonna go after it. Locke has a complicated past. Wouldn't go thinking he's fallen for you. I'm a soldier, not some love-starved twit. Now, I'm actually gonna rewind here. Unfortunately, we're gonna get a little bit here of... And I just want to show some of the Game Boy Advanced dialogue here. So Edgar here is talking to Celeste. And if you look down at the fan translation, I'm a general. I follow my orders. Emotions have no part in my life anymore. And talking about her being kind of heartless and cold. And... if you look at the Game Boy Advance translation, Edgar is, well, being Edgar. But yeah, it's an interesting kind of look, and I wanted to be able to go over it a little bit. Okay, that's the same little bit there. That's fine. There is another line here that I also want to talk about because it changes the relationship. Okay, so you were born with the power of magic. Isn't it a lovely gift? Now, in the Super Nintendo version, the introduction, or well, it's basically framed as an introduction between Celeste and Terra here, like they've never met before. But if you remember back to the beginning, a little flashback, they were both standing on that same stage when Emperor Gestahl was giving his speech. You look over the Game Boy Advanced, who'd have thought we'd meet again like this? You can use magic too, but it's different from mine. I was raised to be an Imperial Magitech Knight. When I was still very young, I was artificially infused with magic. Hence, in the Super Nintendo version, when during her introduction little one-liner there, it said she has been genetically modified or genetically enhanced. This wasn't apparent in the original text until now. Is it possible for you to love other people? Now, this is playing off of the earlier line that Celeste gave about her being cold. Now, this will lead into something else that we'll pick up here in the SNES translation. Oh, I could have skipped this dialogue. Well, there's that. Artificially infused with magic, raised a magic knight. Now, here she just says, what's that supposed to mean? And we don't really get another shot at it until, well, we'll get another line here, but it plays into kind of Terra's character a little bit. The question that she asked there. And I find the way they go about her delving into that aspect of her character doesn't work particularly well, so I'm going to put extra time and focus onto trying to explain further what they were going for and try and make it more palatable, just because for me it really doesn't work. Use your own eyes and then decide. So yeah, Cyan is very untrusting of the Empire for obvious reasons. Okay, so we have all of our characters here, and if you press the A button, you can talk to each of them and remove equipment, and basically that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to empty out everyone's equipment, And once I'm done that, I'm going to re-equip everybody and then show you what that equipment is, as well as which parties, because this is a multi-party sequence, just like, you don't have it here. What am I doing? Just like it was with Locke and the Moogles from the beginning of the game. So yeah, I'm going to do all that in between episodes, and then next time we will go over my setup and the parties and everything like that, and we'll get ready to face off against the invading force, which appears to be led by Kefka. Anyway, that's all for this one, and I'll see you guys next time.